First test. The 2025 Acura ADX says there's more to life than numbers, or is there? The ADX's test numbers don't make for big bragging material. But this is still a great little entry luxury SUV. Pros: upscale, high-quality interior, good real-world power, a pleasant package overall. Cons: not as fun to drive as we expect an Acura to be. Overly cautious adaptive cruise control, uncomfortable backseat. Motor Trend's performance testing is objective and cruel. And that's why we do it. It cuts through the marketing hype and gives us hard numbers that indicate what a car will do when you need to shoot the gap on a busy freeway or swerve to avoid a collision. But the bright light it shines is not always flattering. And it can also make some good cars look, well, if not exactly lousy, certainly less impressive than they are if you just look at pure specifications. Such is the case with the 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec Advance AWD. A very likable SUV that puts down some decidedly blah numbers. To the point, yes, instrumented testing is important, but the Acura ADX reminds us some cars should not be judged on performance alone. What the HR-V dreams it wants to be. The ADX is Acura's new for 2025 entry-level SUV. And as the long nose sneaker shape makes clear, it's a close relative of the Honda HR-V. Acura, for those few who have not paid attention since 1985, is Honda's luxury division. New sheet metal, an upgraded interior, unique chassis tuning, and a more powerful engine differentiate the Acura ADX from the Honda, and the transformation is quite convincing. Aside from the rock-solid build quality that's inherent in the HR-V, the ADX feels, even if it doesn't quite look, like a much different car. We were most excited about this luxe SUV's engine. The ADX trades the HR-V's pokey 158 HP. Naturally aspirated 2.0-liter 4 for the 190 horsepower turbocharged 1.5 we've come to know and love in the Honda Civic. Like the HR-V, the ADX uses a continuously variable automatic transmission, CVT. A smart choice for wringing maximum power out of a small engine. In real-world driving, the combo does its job. The ADX delivers right now power that gives it a nice point and squirt feel. But when you demand max power, the CVT vacillates between letting the engine rev freely and trying to imitate a geared transmission. This problem arises when you put the accelerator pedal to the floor for more than a couple of seconds. A leisurely trip to 60 and beyond. Unfortunately for the Acura, our testing involves putting the accelerator to the floor for a lot of seconds, 8.2 of them to get to 60 miles per hour. That makes the ADX a full 1.4 seconds quicker than the notoriously sluggish HR-V. But it's still an unflattering number for a luxury SUV. Even one aimed at the lower end of this segment. Of course, we don't release the accelerator at 60 miles per hour. We keep it there at least through the quarter-mile mark, which the ADX crossed in 16.4 seconds at 87.4 miles per hour. Again, not a result to make folks write home about. When we test, we try a variety of launch methods. But no matter what we did with the ADX, letting the engine build torque against the brakes, trying different launch RPMs, or simply stomping the accelerator, the ADX A-Spec hesitated before taking off. And hard acceleration didn't show the powertrain in its most flattering light. Out in the real world, the ADX responds to on-the-move power requests sharply. Although if you go foot to the floor from a dead stop or drive it aggressively through sharp low-speed curves, you'll experience the same thing we did. Braking was similarly just okay, 124 feet from 60 miles per hour. A foot longer than the HR-V. It's a perfectly respectable stopping distance. Not bad but not great. We did note lots of nosedive on hard braking and quite a bit of noise and drama from the anti-lock system. But the ADX kept itself pointed straight ahead all through the panic stop. And that's what matters most in this context. Where's the RDX, MDX magic? The 2025 Acura ADX A-Spec registered 0.82 grams, average, on the skid pad and circled our figure 8 course in 27.3 seconds at an average of 0.63 grams. Similar figures to those generated by dozens of SUVs but well short of high-performance territory. Tires were the limiting factor and could never be accused of having an excessive grip. followed by acceleration, or lack thereof, and, to a much lesser extent, a suspension tuned primarily for nice ride quality. The shame of it, and it's only a shame for gearheads and performance nuts like us, is that there are signs of much more vitality in the chassis. The ADX defaults to understeer, overriding the front tires and plowing straight ahead, which is the safe setup. But a little fancy footwork on the accelerator brings out the ADX's inherent chassis balance and a willingness to transition to oversteer. There's good fun lurking in the wings, but it's suppressed by the frontline hardware, while the SUV's steering felt reasonably responsive on our test track. We found it slower and less reactive than we expected on our favorite curvy roads. That, than we expected, part is an important caveat. Our expectations are drawn from Acura's bigger SUVs. The RDX and MDX. They've not always fared well in comparison tests, but we've always admired their handling, which is light, sporty, and nimble. The ADX somehow missed out on that last gene. Tires are again the primary culprit. We think a set of stiffer, more aggressive rubber would do wonders for the ADX's reflexes. But a little steering retune wouldn't hurt, either. Multiple MT staffers mulled over the idea of how nice a Type S version of the ADX could be. Acura has no such plans, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. Better on road than track. Test results aside, when you're not banging your head against the ADX's limitations by demanding maximum output from the powertrain or careening recklessly into a set of appetizing twisties, it's an almost unfailingly pleasant car. We say almost because of the excessive road noise, a decades-long problem in Acura vehicles that we've given up on ever seeing resolved. If you want a quiet Acura, try the ZDX, the one engineered by General Motors. The Integra-inspired interior is a lovely place to spend time, the stereo is great, and the lane centering system, if not the most advanced we've ever used, works pretty well. Other than the noise, our biggest driving-related complaint is the adaptive cruise control's timidity. It brakes in response to slower cars in the next lane over, is slow to resume speed, and leaves a huge gap between itself and the car ahead, even in its closest follow setting. Acura's US headquarters, like Mounts, is in Los Angeles, but left to its own devices the ADX drives like an Iowan that's experiencing Tinseltown's fast-moving 12-lane freeways for the first time. Our biggest non-driving related complaint is the backseat, which, like the HR-V's, is pretty terrible. It's not so much the lack of room as the high floor. Even short adults must sit with their knees up, resting leg weight on their feet rather than their thighs, and eliminating one of the primary pleasures of sitting down. Impressive despite the numbers. We've not painted the most flattering picture in these last few paragraphs. But for one or two people cavorting around the great metropolis, the new ADX really is a nice choice. It rides comfortably, surrounds you with attractive environs, especially if you opt for the sharp red and black interior, gives you adequate power to dart through traffic, has plenty of cargo space, and is easy to park. In fact, it's so compact that door dings seem a near impossibility. Pricing isn't overly crazy. It starts at $36,350. And the all-wheel drive A-Spec Advance we drove lists for $46,915. Okay, maybe that's a little crazy considering you get the same basic functionality, but way less acceleration, from a top-of-the-line Honda HR-V for a little more than $32. And a lovely little front-drive Buick Envista for around $26. But you were going to lease anyway, right? Acuras hold their value well, which helps with lease rates. And past performance indicates most Acura models are great long-term investments. No, the ADX didn't test particularly well. But that didn't stop us from, once again, coming away suitably impressed by this new Acura SUV.